calendar. Mr. Clerk, House Bill 171. Clerk will read.
Representatives B. Jones, N. Jackson, Lowry, and Edens, House Bill 171, a bill to be entitled Equality in State Agencies, Prohibition on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, DEI, the General Assembly of North Carolina enacts.
The gentleman from Wayne, Representative Bell, is recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the House pass House Bill 171, Equality in State Agencies, Prohibition on DEI, notwithstanding the objections of the governor.
What purpose, the gentleman from Columbus, Representative Jones, rise?
I move for the previous question.
Representative Jones, having moved the previous question, is a non-debatable motion. The question before the House is Representative Jones's motion for the previous question. All those in favor will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no. The clerk will open the vote. Clerk will lock machine and record the vote. 71 having voted in the affirmative and 47 in the negative. The motion carries. The majority and minority leaders have up to 3 minutes to debate. Gentleman from Columbus, Representative Jones, is recognized for his up to 3 minutes of debate.
Mr. Speaker, members, this bill is a simple idea. State government should not treat people equally, and public dollars should be based on merit, not ideology. 171 says state agencies and local governments cannot use taxpayer money to promote, fund, or maintain DEI programs that influence hiring, employment, contracts based on race, sex, ethnicity, national origin, or similar characteristics. It ends DEI offices, DEI staff positions, and required DEI training in government workplaces. Let's be clear, this bill does not repeal civil rights laws. It does not stop reasonable accommodations. It does not interfere with Title IX, the ADA, Title VI, or federal anti-discrimination law. And it does not prohibit holidays, observances, data collection, or Indian education services. What it does is restore common sense. Government hiring should be based on qualifications. Contracts should be based on merit, and government services should be open and equal to every citizen. This bill has teeth. It gives the state authority to review compliance, requires public reporting, provides penalties when officials knowingly and willfully violate the law. Because if we mean equal treatment, then we have to enforce equal treatment. The governor vetoed a bill that says North Carolina government should judge people by their work, their qualifications, and the law, not by political categories. It's wrong. Today we should override that veto and clearly say taxpayer dollars belong to the people. Governments must serve all the people, and equal treatment under law still means something in North Carolina. I seek your green vote on the override.
From Chatham, Representative, the gentleman want to take the debate, or do you want to send it to someone else?
I will be giving my time to Representative Quick.
Representative Quick is recognized to debate for up to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is not an anti-DEI bill. It is an anti-diversity, anti-equity, anti-inclusion bill. This distinction makes a very important difference because it is important that we not divorce the initials from the words that they actually represent. Because anti-DEI has morphed into a political football that holds an entirely different meaning than anti-diversity, anti-equity, and anti-inclusion. And in fact, when you look at the totality of what those things mean, bills like this are anti-American. How can one be anti-diversity in a proudly diverse society? A society made up of people who are diverse in their ability, ethnicity, gender, age, race, neurodiversity, and faith background, amongst other things. How can one be anti-equity in a nation that was founded on the principle that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and a nation that has seen the blood of persons of every hue spilled on its streets or in pursuit of that very equality? How can one be anti-inclusion when for so many years we have held ourselves up as a beacon of hope, inviting all who yearn to be free? and those whose backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives are to be valued as needed for our nation's continued success. This bill is cookie cutter and unoriginal in a state that prides itself on being first, not next. We were first in flight, first in the state university system, but now we are attempting to be the very next state to pass a bill that will not withstand history because our nation is diverse. We are diverse, we continue to strive for equity, and we are inclusive. And we who have fought for centuries to make this nation just that are standing on the right side of history. To vote for this bill is to be unoriginal, to be mean-spirited, and to be detrimental to the further progress and success of the state of North Carolina. The world does not look one way. And as we invite the world and even see the world on our televisions watching the World Cup, we see the power of diversity and equity and inclusion. I ask you to sustain the governor's veto or be on the wrong side of history.
Question before the House is the motion that House Bill 171 become law, notwithstanding the objection of the governor. All those in favor will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no. The clerk will open the vote. Clerk will lock machine and record the vote. 71 having voted in the affirmative and 47 in the negative. The motion carries, and having passed by the requisite 3/5 vote, the House has overridden the governor's veto. The bill is sent to the Senate via special message. Mr. Clerk, Senate Bill 153, the clerk will read.
Senators Berger, Daniel, B. Newton, Senate Bill 153, a bill to be entitled North Carolina Border Protection Act, the General Assembly of North Carolina enacts.
Gentleman from Wayne, Representative Bell, is recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the House pass Senate Bill 153, North Carolina Border Protection Act, notwithstanding the objections of the governor.
Gentleman from Columbus, Representative Jones, is recognized for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, move previous question.
Gentleman has moved the previous question.
Point of order.
Representative Morey, lady may state her point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In our rules, Rule 8 is a question of privilege. And I would like to raise this question of privilege about calling the question and not allowing a debate on the vetoes. If I may, this is a question of integrity of the House. It's a question of our side of the aisle being able to speak on a very important debate over the veto that has been on the calendar for months, weeks, days, in which every member has said, be in your seats, be ready for these vetoes. And to call the question before one member is able to debate this, I think violates our integrity of our proceedings, the rights of individual members, and I ask you to reconsider. Thank you.
Understands the lady's concern. The rules clearly stating that a motion for previous question can be put forth by the body. By necessity, they can't violate the spirit and rules of the other rules. And the chair would also note, as is always the case for vetoes, these bills have already been voted on by this body, and in some cases with these bills, the provisions therein being voted on multiple times by the body. And obviously the members who may do so under the rules can move the previous question if they wish, and if there was, frankly, there's nothing in here that we've not debated at length already. So the lady's point is noted, and that is the chair's response. The question for the House is the Representative Jones' motion for the previous question. All those in favor will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no. The clerk will open the vote. Clerk will lock machine and record the vote. 71 having voted in the affirmative, 47 in the negative. The motion carries, and the majority and minority leaders each have up to 3 minutes. Representative Jones, does the gentleman wish to direct his debate to another member?
Mr. Speaker, I would yield to Representative Pirtle, please.
The gentleman from Rockingham, Representative Pirtle, is recognized to debate the motion for up to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Here at the General Assembly, we've taken concrete steps to put an end to sanctuary city policies, where we've had public officials that have made a name for themselves by openly defying those laws. Last session, the General Assembly passed House Bill 10, which required sheriffs to cooperate with ICE. We need to take that a step further. We need to ensure that state law enforcement agencies are also cooperating with ICE. This bill would require the Secretary of the Department of Public Safety, the Secretary of the Department of Adult Corrections, the Commander of the State Highway Patrol, the Director of the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigations to enter into an agreement with U.S. Immigration and Customs to fully cooperate with immigration laws. This bill also requires state law enforcement officials to receive appropriate training provided by ICE and to function under the supervision of ICE when complying with the agreement. Cities and counties who violate these laws and instead adopt sanctuary ordinances will be found to have waived governmental immunity when an illegal alien commits a crime against a person or property located in any city or county limits. We also need to take tangible steps to ensure that taxpayer funds are being spent wisely, especially when it comes to public benefits. Only those who are eligible for those benefits should receive them. This bill would require the Department of Health and Human Services, the Department of Commerce, the Department of Housing Finance Agency, and all local housing authorities to cease providing state-funded benefits and public-funded housing benefits to illegal aliens. These agencies will also be required to develop a plan to update and review eligibility criteria for all state-funded benefits and publicly funded housing benefits to ensure non-citizens residing in the United States without legal permission are ineligible to receive those benefits. The Department of Commerce will also be required to adopt and implement policy to verify that all applicants for unemployment benefits are legally authorized to reside in the United States prior to receiving first payment of these benefits by January the 15th, 2026. Finally, it prohibits the UNC system campuses from adopting any policy that does not cooperate with federal immigration enforcement and or adopting a sanctuary school policy. All these are common sense things to do to ensure that we are doing what we can at the state level to address illegal immigration and protect our citizens. I ask for your vote on this override.
Representative Reeves, the gentleman wish to debate this one or yield to another member?
I would yield my time to Representative Servania.
The lady from Wake, Representative Servania, is recognized to debate the motion for up to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today's vote is more than about immigration. It's about governance. It's about our Constitution, be it state or federal. And it's about state and local control. And we have our shared responsibility to make good policy and not just lean into the headlines. SB 153 sounds like it's tough on immigration, but beneath the headlines, it imposes broad new mandates that undermine the sovereignty that's put upon us and our oath as representatives here in North Carolina. It stretches the roles of the state. Without funding, it then burdens our agencies without that additional funding and resources to be able to implement this law that you all have put forth to us. And ultimately, it threatens every principle that many of us have shared to defend when it comes to representing every person, as it's been said, on the other side of this aisle that lives here in North Carolina. We must uphold this veto because this bill, again, I say, is overreaching. It asks too much of our law enforcement. It invites constitutional challenges, as we see nationally in states that have adopted similar or the same laws, which, again, is a burden on us when it comes to budgetary money. And it makes risks an unintended harm to communities all over our state without making us meaningfully safe. We live here together. We have neighbors. I want to implore you to think about the people you live around, the people you represent. It could even be donors that give to you. Republican and Democrats, we're not only just white, black, Asian, Native American. You know you have constituents that are everyone. And I want you to remember that and where they came from, and your promise to make everybody in this state, including your constituents, safe. So let's be honest. I so respect our law enforcement that serve here and everywhere in North Carolina. But they're already stretched. We know that. Those of you who serve here and have served for law and order know they're stretched. So what are we going to do about it if we pass this law? I pray every day that we pass a budget, but we still haven't seen it. I'd be more confident about the fact that we give them money and resources to implement the law that you want to put forth to our local law enforcement and our state agencies, but I still don't see it. You think that we're on this other side who don't believe in law enforcement. My dad served in military patrol, and he is my color. So it's not independent of just one or the other. We all want to serve and protect, and we want to all support that. But this is not the way. This law isn't the way. So I've heard law enforcement, they do come to me too. I go out to all my police chiefs and my officers. I am a citizen that assists police in my town. So they do have a trust in me. And they're concerned about this. They want to have everyone in their town feel safe. And I don't know what your law enforcement has said, your state agencies too, who are serving for safety. But this is also what I'm not hearing is the way. I know I have limited time, so I'm just going to end with these points. You don't have to oppose immigration enforcement to vote to uphold this veto. Here's the bottom line. Immigration enforcement is a federal responsibility, and our federal government included is not providing us funding or resources to do this in your eyes in the best way possible. The state should not bear the legal and financial risks of undertaking complex federal operations, especially without adequate oversight and discretion. We can be serious about border security without sacrificing the values of limited government and local control. We can support law enforcement without overloading them with unfunded mandates. And we can reject policies that politicize immigration at the expense of North Carolina taxpayers, because you have to know we are going to have to find this money in our budget to do this law, quote, right. So you have to just believe in fiscal responsibility, defending local
Mr.
control.
Speaker,
For what purpose? Gentleman from Craven, Representative Tyson
a
rise.
question of privilege.
Gentleman may
I
state
believe the
his-
time has elapsed.
Yeah, it has, Chair was giving some leeway, but we're probably about double of the time, but if the lady will conclude her comments.
Thank you, Speaker. I hope that you vote against this.
The question before the House is the motion that Senate Bill 153 become law, notwithstanding the objections of the governor. All those in favor will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no. The clerk will open the vote. Clerk will lock machine and record the vote. 71 having voted in the affirmative and 47 in the negative. The motion carries, and having passed by the requisite 3/5 vote, the House has overridden the governor's veto. The bill becomes law notwithstanding the governor's objections. Mr. Clerk, the Senate will be notified by special message. Senate Bill 227, the clerk will read.
Senators Berger, Lee, and Overcash. Senate Bill 227, a bill to be entitled Eliminating Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, DEI in Public Education. The General Assembly of North Carolina enacts.
Gentleman from Wayne, Representative Bell, is recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the House pass Senate Bill 227, eliminating DEI in public education, notwithstanding the objections of the governor.
Gentleman's motion is recognized. The gentleman from Columbus, Representative Jones, is recognized for a motion.
Previous question, please, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman has moved the previous question. All those in favor will vote aye.
Mr. Speaker.
We're in the vote. All those in favor will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no. The clerk will open the vote. Clerk will lock machine and record the vote. 71 having voted the affirmative and 47 in the negative. The motion carries. Representative Jones, the gentleman wish to debate or yield to another member?
I'll debate, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman's recognized to debate the motion for a time up to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill is about keeping our schools focused on what they were built to do. Teach children, respect every student, and prepare them for life. Senate Bill 227 says public schools should not promote concepts that divide students by race or sex. It says no child should be taught that one race or sex is superior to another. No child should be told that they're inherently racist, sexist, oppressive, guilty, or morally defined because of the race or sex they were born with. That is not censorship, that is common sense. This bill protects the teaching of history. It expressly allows instruction
Representative Jones, just 1 second. For what purpose, the gentleman from Guilford, Representative Click Rice?
Is it permissible to ask Representative Jones a question as to what he thinks black children have been going through since history has been started?
So the motion, previous question.
To hear over and over again?
Members, as the member knows, you can't, there is no debate on the previous question having been passed. The majority leader has up to 3 minutes. The minority leader has up to 3 minutes. And so therefore, Representative Jones, the gentleman, continues to have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This also protects speech, independent research, and anything required by state or federal law. And it makes clear that schools must prohibit discrimination, including anti-Semitism, and employment conduct policies and student codes of conduct. Members, every child in North Carolina deserves to walk into a classroom and be treated as an individual, not as a category. It's not a stereotype. It's not a symbol of guilt or grievance. We want schools teaching reading, writing, math, history, science, and civics. We want schools to teach children how to think and not what political doctrine they must believe. The governor vetoed this bill that stands for dignity, non-discrimination, honesty, and equal treatment. Today, we should override that veto. Let us stand with parents and students. Let us stand with teachers who want to teach and not indoctrinate. I urge the body to vote yes.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask Representative Jones how women have felt since...
The lady will suspend, and members will not speak until they're recognized. The lady from Mecklenburg, Representative Budd, is recognized.
Thank you. I'd like to ask
what's
Representative Jones a question.
Representative Budd, for what purpose does the lady rise?
To ask a question.
The lady can't ask to yield a question when the motion for previous question has been carried. Both sides have up to 3 minutes to debate. They can't ask for a question.
I appreciate you pointing out the debate has been cut off deliberately. Thank you.
Well, our rules allow for the previous question to be adopted, and the chair recalls that vote on our rules was either unanimous or nearly unanimous, and those are the rules the body has adopted. And so we've debated these bills multiple times. Does the minority leader wish to speak up for 3 minutes or yield?
I would yield on this particular bill to Representative Hawkins.
Representative Hawkins, the gentleman is recognized to debate the motion for up to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today's a frustrating day, but one thing I know about true leadership is it does not divide people. The things that we should know before we even begin this debate is it's no raises, no budget, no COLA, no money in people's pockets. This does nothing for the people of North Carolina. When I ran for office, just like many of you, we believe that North Carolina should be a place where you can maximize your God-given potential. I say this because so many people see North Carolina as a beacon of hope. So many people from your district, so many people from Small towns believe if they just do what they're supposed to do, they can get noticed. And that's what this diversity, equity, and inclusion work continues to do. And it really is time for you all to have an honest conversation about what diversity, equity, and inclusion really means. President Trump and Republican lawmakers have spent the past few months and the past few years now tearing down scholarship programs, erasing military recognitions and historical records, even putting our national security at risk because of DEI. And with this bill, we put our reputation of being able to make sure that we are building out not only the current students that are in our classrooms, but those are the current people who will work in our jobs. And what the workforce says that we need to do is be able to invest in every single child, make sure that they feel seen, heard, and supported so they can go off and reach those goals that each one of these companies that are coming to North Carolina and they ask for diversity, that they can bring those jobs to fruition and they can build the type of North Carolina that we can be proud of. One popular talking point of DEI is it elevates underqualified students based on race and background. It does just the opposite. Again, it makes sure that those kids feel seen, feel heard, they understand that no matter where they come from, that they can make it in North Carolina. And I have to make sure that I also push back on what my colleague just mentioned, that it is not about indoctrination. It is not about the things that you've heard in that opening. It is about making sure that at the end of the day, we don't lose sight of our North Star. And that is to make sure that every child has an opportunity to succeed. Too often we forget to go back and read our founding documents in this country. We believe that all people are created equal and that they have the ability to pursue their lives based on life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. That's why we should all support programs that lift Americans up from disadvantaged backgrounds and under-resourced backgrounds. We have to make sure that there are not just a finite number of opportunities in North Carolina, but there are plenty of opportunities where a student, again, can feel seen, heard, and supported in the great state of North Carolina. This bill, in fact, hinders growth and opportunities for so many that you just don't understand. After all, Republicans don't shout DEI when the General Assembly funds scholarships for rural students, grants for small businesses, or programs to increase male teachers in the classroom, nor should they. These programs make our state better. We want the best and brightest in the classroom, and sometimes you have to highlight certain areas to make sure that they are duly represented. We need more mentorship for young people in our classrooms. We need more pro-fatherhood initiatives that incentivize teachers who support low-performing schools. We do so because we understand that kids from rural areas don't have the same opportunities. How is that not diversity, equity, and inclusion? That fatherless homes leave voids for children, especially boys that are not succeeding. We need to make sure that we are filling those gaps. And so I want to make sure that for today, that we also look back over the course of where we are. We enjoy the fruits of the labor from people like Governor Sanford and Governor Hunt. We enjoy the fruits of their labor because right now we have 1.5 million students in our public schools. We have 250,000 people in our university system and brilliant students that are waiting to come to our state. Most of those people are of color. Most of those people are from a diverse background. All of those people deserve to be supported. As I mentioned before, and as I close, each employer that I talk to wants the following: well-educated students, diverse, well-cultured, well-rounded with soft skills that support their bottom line, that bring new perspectives that help expand their business. These types of employees are built through systems nurtured through what you are calling DEI, exactly what you are trying to stop in this state. What you're trying to do, and I'll say this out loud again, I know I said it in the first debate, is you're trying to put us back in another HB2. No matter how much the state of North Carolina continues to grow, you want to tear down the progress that was made over the last 50 to 70 years. It is unacceptable. There is nothing wrong with people in our state being supported. ensuring that their emotional, social, and overall well-being is supported because they come from a diverse background. And so I'm hopeful that many of you will join this side of the aisle and the majority of the people in the state of North Carolina in voting against this bill. Because as a former public school teacher, from a current school parent, I know that my district and other districts across the state will look at you in shame. And so thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to debate this bill. And please vote no on the motion.
The question for the House is the motion that Senate Bill 227 become law, notwithstanding the objections of the governor. All those in favor will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no. The clerk will open the vote. Clerk will like machine to record the vote. 71 having voted in the affirmative and 47 in the negative. The motion carries. Having passed by the requisite 3/5 vote, the House has overridden the governor's veto and the bill becomes law, notwithstanding the governor's objection. Mr. Clerk, the Senate will be notified via special messenger. Senate Bill 558, clerk will read.
Senators Berger, Overcash, and Corbin. Senate Bill 558, a bill to be entitled Eliminating Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, DEI, in Public Higher Education, the General Assembly of North Carolina enacts.
Gentleman from Wayne, Representative Bell, is recognized for a motion.
Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move I move the House pass Senate Bill 558, eliminating DEI in public higher education, notwithstanding the objections of the governor.
Gentleman's motion is noted. For what purpose? The lady from New Hanover, Representative Butler, rise.
To ask the Speaker a question.
Lady can ask a question.
Mr. Speaker, it appears that these override votes here that we are seeing today are very well choreographed. And so I would ask you to reconsider the question of privilege concerning the integrity of the House's proceedings, because the ability of members to deliberate and represent their constituents is central to the institutional rights of this body. When debate is terminated on matters of substantial public importance, it raises a real question about the dignity of this House and the integrity of these proceedings. I ask you to reconsider and allow fervent debate on this matter.
The chair will reiterate that we've already had fervent debate on these bills as they came through the body the first time. Most of the provisions in them have been in multiple bills. And further, I'll note that, as everyone knows, my party has 71 members in it, meaning that if only 2 people on the other side are out, we can override any one of these that we want to. Despite that, the chair put out a calendar, essentially guaranteed the days that we would vote, and typically only 2 days per week. We could vote every single day. And what the chair simply could have done is say, week to week, we'll let you know, keep you here all week long, wait till one of you are out. But frankly, I decided not to do that for many of the reasons that the lady just discussed. And again, didn't have to do that. I certainly had the votes to get into the rules to do that very thing, to make y'all sit up here all the time unnecessarily. But we didn't. We're here essentially 2 voting days per week. These bills have been well debated. I realize that there's certain members who are against the subject matter in these bills, and that's fine. But that doesn't call into question of this body at all. In fact, it's just simply the way our government works, the way it's worked in this state for a long time. No rules are violated. In fact, I would say we've gone out of the way that in many ways hindering the ability to override vetoes. And so I note the lady's comments and questions, but my view of the world is completely the opposite. This body has frankly bent over backwards to give notice to the members of both parties when we're going to be here, and we've been here about 2 days a week. The gentleman from Columbus, Representative Jones, recognized for a motion.
A previous question, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Jones moved the previous question. All those in favor will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no. The clerk will open the vote. Clerk will lock machine to record the vote. 71 having voted the affirmative and 47 in the negative. The motion carries. Representative Jones, gentleman wish to debate or yield to another member?
I'll debate, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman is recognized to debate for up to 3 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, you've made a great point that these bills have been debated at length, so I'm going to keep this very short. Members, our universities should be places of debate, not compelled belief. They should be teaching students how to think, not requiring them to repeat political doctrine. So I'm going to ask for your green vote on this.
The gentleman from Chatham, Representative Reeves, gentleman wish to debate or yield to someone else?
I wish to debate.
Gentleman's recognized to debate for up to 3 minutes.
And I thank you. And I would just say this. When you look at what it takes for this country to become what it did, the one thing that is clear is this, and I want folks to understand what I'm saying here. It is smart, if you want to get these bills passed, to keep couching it in race. It is smart to keep couching it in different minority groups. The country became what it became because every single person that got on these shores had an opportunity to posit in my mind that suddenly these groups with no economic power, no ability to control things, no ability to make anything happen until 1965, before all groups here that weren't white males had a chance to vote, did they have a chance to affect their governments and their communities. Still no access to capital, still no access to the powers of government, because at the end of the day, the most powerful people in this government in North Carolina are right here in this legislature. And I don't think any of us would pretend that everybody is represented and all interests are represented. So let's call it what it is. And what it is right now is folks have used everything that has made this country great, and they have just made it so their voices could be heard. And what we are doing today is doing everything we can to physically push those voices down. What I will tell, and I mostly talk to my caucus here, you're gonna feel bad, you're gonna be angry, you're gonna be dejected. But the one thing that this country got started with was the right to vote. And so they can shut you down in government institutions. They can shut you down when you walk on the street. They can charge you with felonies when you go out and you try to voice your disagreement with their beliefs. But they can't at this time stop you from voting. And at some point, it becomes on what happens outside of this building.
1 second. For what purpose the union from Representative Willis Rice?
Point of order.
Gentleman's recognized for point of order.
We have gone way off topic on this override, and I ask you to bring it back to order. Thank you.
Chair understands, but the debate being limited, the chair has not cut Representative Reeves off before, and so I'm going to let the gentleman debate. Gentleman can continue.
And I thank you, Mr. Speaker. And there's a lot I could do to answer about that, but I'm not. But I will use this opportunity to also remind folks, it isn't about your skin color. It's about your ideology. We've been passing bills here to make sure people have to make a choice. I have heard for 12 years here that you got to declare a party to tell me who you are. Let me promise you something. The letter at the back of your name doesn't tell me a God blessed thing about who you are. At some point, it's what you've got inside. And what I am telling you is you go down the list of people who have dropped in the party in power since 2016 for breaking from their ideology. People who are going home right now for breaking from that ideology. So at some point, this will be you. So folks that are listening outside of this building, you can't do anything to stop this because we are the folks that are elected to make this decision. But at some point, all of us have to stand on both sides of the aisle and decide that this isn't about power, that this is about progress. And what progress is, I ain't asking anybody to do a favor for me as a black man, I can tell you that. My God, at this point in time, most minorities I know just want people to stay out of the way. Just let them use their God-given talents. Women who are outnumbering everybody now when it comes down to schools and professions and things of that sort. Today, that kills some of that progress, but they can't stop you from reading a book. They can't stop you, and don't let them stop you. All we're talking about with these bills is not hurting somebody's feelings who shouldn't be hurt. Because you know what I've never been mad about? Somebody telling me that somebody in my family or friend or somebody that looks like me is somehow, some way responsible for who I am. I could come from the family of John Dillinger. That doesn't make me a bad person, and me hearing about that doesn't make me a bad person. But suddenly we're in a place where we don't want to hurt folks' feelings. We talk about political thought. We talk about the ability in higher education for people to have diverse ideas. How do you have diverse ideas when you walk in and you're the only person who looks, acts, and sounds like you? I sat here Monday night, and some folks in this room attended the HBCU banquet. And I said when I stood up that I was asked to be on my best behavior because there were things I couldn't mention. And the thing I would have mentioned is this right here. How dare you say that you want this state to be the best that it can be and then spend this time trying to figure out how to stop our best and brightest minds who may be white, who may be black, who may be female, who may be male, who may be Latino, who may be Asian. If you want true competition and progress, you've got to let folks learn, be healthy, and have opportunities. And today, that's all we're doing is killing those opportunities. And what we don't understand is this. It's not about the people who are here right now. It's about folks like these kids in the back. When they get out of school and people from all over the world are asking them what to do, there's not an amount of money you can pay them to go live somewhere that hates them, that go live somewhere that doesn't want them there. And I want those people here, not because they'll make me feel better, because I think we are best when all of us have an opportunity. But it is just disingenuous to say that when you are in power that somehow you don't have opportunities. And I am here to stand for continuously every white, black, brown, and other person and any gender in this state that I will fight to my last breath to make sure each of them, whether they like me, whether they hate me, whether they think somehow my political persuasion changes something about how much I love my God, somehow my political persuasion makes me decide that I don't love law enforcement, because God knows, a lot of us know the only thing protecting some of us right now is law enforcement. I don't know what this country looks like if suddenly Amos and I have to go walking down the street and we don't have law enforcement. But this is what we're doing today, is we are telling a large swath of people we don't want them in this state. And it may not bother any of you, because some of you may feel 10 years I'll be retired. I won't have anything to do with this. I've made a ton of money. My kids are going to be okay. But I'm going to tell you, you've got a lot of friends and family that are going to wish that the next great company located here, whether that person that runs that company, like with Jet Zero, is black, brown, or whatever. So we can keep thinking that this is okay, and we can keep thinking that we can use cute legalese. But I am telling you that we have got to, at some point in time, accept the world is changing. And if you do believe in the good book, as you say, that's a good thing. We are here for one person, to take care of each other. That's it. And the one thing government should not be doing is telling anybody that they're less than. So I know that we're going to vote how we're going to vote, and I know you're sick of hearing me and everybody else talk about this kind of stuff, but this is important. This is why I'm in government, not to protect any group by itself, but to make things better for everybody. Because where I grew up, we didn't have the money or the time to be racist, sexist, classist, or anything else. We only had each other. And at the end of the day, that's all we're going to have. But we just talked yesterday about a tax amendment that may be detrimental to our life science caucus. And then we turn around on the day that one of the most giving human beings that I have known in Mike Clampett is being honored, and we yell out, yeah, but we don't want anybody else to be acting that nice. We have got to be better than what we are. Pass a budget, not bills that tell people this message. And I ask you to vote no.
The question for the House is, the members of the gallery will refrain from applause or saying anything. The question for the House is the motion that Senate Bill 558 become law, notwithstanding the objections of the governor. All those in favor will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no. Clerk will open the vote. Clerk will lock machine and record the vote. 71 having voted in the affirmative and 47 in the negative. The motion carries. Having passed by the requisite 3/5 vote, the House has overridden the governor's veto, and the bill becomes law, notwithstanding the governor's objections. Mr. Clerk, Senate will be notified via special message. Members, momentarily, the House is going to go at ease until 3:50. We'll be back in here at 3:50, potentially for further business. So hang